"You're not an heir anymore," my mother said, calm as if she were asking me to pass the salt. The smell of burnt toast drifted in from the kitchen. The old wall clock ticked too loud, each second a hammer. A draft slid under the doorway, sharp with winter. I stood barefoot on the warped wood floor, the cold biting at my soles, and felt the ground shift in more ways than one. I didn't cry. I did something else. Upstairs, my father's study door was half closed, the glow of the green desk lamp bleeding into the hallway. Paper spread across the table like a crime scene. My sister Alina perched on the arm of his leather chair, nodding as if the crown was already on her head. My mother hovered nearby with that faint smile she wore whenever a plan came together. I should have walked away. Pretended I hadn't heard. Kept the peace. That's what they expected. The quiet daughter, the helper, the placeholder who never made demands. But the words kept replaying. "You're not an heir anymore." Something inside me tilted. Not grief. Not even rage. Something colder, sharper. I padded back to the guest room, shut the door and opened my laptop. Fingers flying, I logged into accounts they didn't know existed. New passwords, new security questions, transfers sliding like cards across a table. Within minutes, everything I owned sat in a private vault beyond their reach. They thought I would freeze in that hallway, stunned into silence. They thought I'd keep playing the role invisible, pliant, safe. They were wrong. The betrayals never started big. They came like paper cuts, small, stinging, easy to dismiss until the sting became the whole skin. When I was 10, Alina got a golden locket for her birthday, a family heirloom passed down from our grandmother. I got socks. "You're practical," my mother said. I smiled because what else could I do? At 15, Dad asked me to help balance Grandma's checkbook, while her hands trembled too much to hold a pen. I spent nights squinting at numbers, double-checking every column. Alina? She got praise for bringing joy by showing up with a smile and leaving before the dishes. College was the worst. I applied to 3 schools, got into 2, but when tuition time came, Dad shook his head. "We can't justify it," he said, his voice heavy with fake regret. A week later, I found out Alina's entire semester was covered, plus a new car to get her safely to campus. I rode the bus to my part-time job and told myself not to keep score. It became a pattern. Alina getting the spotlight, me patching the backstage. Holidays, birthdays, even funerals, I did the work, she got the applause. And I kept swallowing it, telling myself it didn't matter, that one day fairness would even the scales. But deep down I knew. They weren't just favoring her. They were rehearsing something bigger. Every omission, every shrug when I asked why, every "you're strong enough, you don't need it." It was laying the foundation. Now, standing in that hallway, hearing them say out loud what I'd always suspected, I felt the weight of every small betrayal snap into place like a lock. And the key? It was already in my pocket. By morning, the house was quiet enough to hear the radiator hiss through the walls. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. 7:04 a.m. A text from Alina. "We need to talk. Today." I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. "We. Not you and me. We," like she already stood on the same side as my parents, like they'd formed a committee and I was the agenda item. At breakfast, Dad shuffled papers beside his coffee, glasses sliding down his nose. Mom buttered toast, her mouth tight. Alina sat across from me, phone face down for once, chin tilted like she was already in charge. "I heard what you said last night." I began, my voice steady. Dad didn't look up. "Then you know it's final." My fork clinked against the plate. "Final? You're cutting me out of Grandma's estate?" "She wanted stability," Mom said softly, as though the word itself absolved her. "You've always been unpredictable." "Unpredictable?" My voice sharpened. "You mean working 2 jobs through college? Paying the bills you pretended not to see?" Alina smirked, the kind that dares you to lose your temper. "Katie, this isn't personal. It's about legacy. Responsibility." I leaned forward, hands flat on the table. "Then tell me why the entire trust suddenly lands in your lap." Silence. Dad sipped his coffee. Mom reached for the sugar. No one answered. That's when I felt it. The thread running beneath the conversation wasn't just favoritism. It was money, power, control. And it wasn't theory anymore. It was signed papers, notarized lies, numbers I could almost see reflected in the gloss of their eyes. I pushed my chair back, the scrape loud on the tile. By tonight, I said, you're going to regret underestimating me. For the first time, Dad looked up. His jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. The clock on the wall ticked to 7:32 a.m. My own private timestamp. The moment I stopped being the daughter who waited for scraps and became the one who was ready to flip the table. It started with a folder I wasn't supposed to see. That afternoon, while they all left for a lunch meeting, I stayed behind. My pulse pounded as I pushed open the door to Dad's study. The air smelled like old leather and ink, heavy with the dust of secrets. On the desk, beneath neat stacks of financial reports, was a slim black folder. The kind lawyers use, edges too sharp, corners too clean. I slid it free. My hands didn't even shake. Inside, estate projections, columns of numbers that ran dizzy across the page. And tucked in the back, a copy of an amendment. My sister's name written in bold. Mine missing entirely. The date in the corner. 2 months ago. 2 months. While I was sitting at Grandma's bedside, reading to her as she drifted in and out of morphine dreams, they were already erasing me. I flipped the page. Notes scribbled in my father's square handwriting. Move funds before disclosure. Keep it quiet until final review. Keep it quiet. I sat in the leather chair. Document open, silence pressing against me like a weight. It wasn't just favoritism anymore. It was premeditated. Coordinated. A plan to cut me out, neat and bloodless, while smiling at me over dinner. The clock ticked. My throat felt raw, but no tears came. That's when I saw the smaller envelope, wedged between the folders. My grandmother's handwriting on the front. Angular, precise. My name. I froze. I didn't open it. Not yet. Not with their voices echoing down the hallway in my head. I tucked it under my sweater, close to my chest, and closed the folder. When I left the study, everything looked the same. Papers stacked, pen aligned, lamp humming. But nothing was the same. Because now I knew. They hadn't just forgotten me. They had buried me. And tomorrow I was going to dig. The envelope burned against my ribs all night, as if Grandma's handwriting carried its own quiet heat. By dawn I couldn't wait anymore. I sat cross-legged on my bed, phone face down, curtains still drawn. I slit the flap with a kitchen knife. Inside, a single page, notarized, dated just 3 weeks before she died. My name written clearly, unshakable ink. Full beneficiary of secondary trust. And beneath it, her note, short and sharp in her handwriting. If they try to erase you, don't let them. I trust you. Only you. The words hit harder than any slap. My breath shook, but I didn't cry. I felt something colder take root. A clarity. I grabbed my phone. The lock screen read 6:11 a.m. Another timestamp carved into me. The second one. By 8, I was at the bank, letterpress flat inside a folder. The marble lobby echoed with the shuffle of clients, the faint scent of coffee, disinfectant. I handed the document across the counter. The clerk's brows furrowed, then smoothed into something unreadable. She excused herself, vanished into the back. Minutes stretched. 10:15. I imagined Alina at breakfast, sipping her latte, certain she had already won. Finally, the clerk returned. This changes things, she said quietly. But until it's reviewed, you'll need legal representation. Legal. The word landed like a gavel. I walked out into the morning chill, scarf whipping around me, lungs full of frost. My phone buzzed with messages from my sister. Where are you? Dad's furious. You touched his desk. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't reply. Because I knew the truth now. There was no way back. The moment the bank clerk carried that folder into the back office, I crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. They thought I'd stay silent. Instead, I'd set something in motion that would tear the house down. I didn't panic. I prepared. The next 48 hours blurred into a sequence of clicks, copies, and quiet defiance. I pulled bank statements, screenshot transfers, dug through years of emails that reeked of manipulation dressed up as family logistics. Every file I saved to an encrypted drive felt like stacking bricks for a wall between us. I didn't beg for explanations. I didn't wait for apologies. I did call a lawyer. Her name was Mara, sharp-eyed, younger than I expected. She listened without interrupting, tapping her pen against a yellow legal pad. When I laid Grandma's notarized note on the table, Mara's jaw tightened. This isn't just favoritism, she said. It's fraud. If they moved estate funds knowing this amendment existed, it's actionable. You have leverage. Leverage. The word slid through me like steel. We spent hours combing through receipts. I showed her Dad's handwritten notes, Alina's emails bragging about finalizing the transfer, Mom's vague lines about keeping things discreet. Mara flagged everything, her eyes narrowing. You've got them cornered, she said. But you need to be ready. When people like this feel control slipping, they fight dirtier than you think. That night, for the first time in years, I slept with my laptop under my pillow. Not because I was afraid they'd steal it, but because I didn't want a single barrier between me and the proof. And still, even in my small victories, the danger grew. At 9:47 p.m. a message lit up my phone. You're making a mistake, Katie. Stop before this gets ugly. No name, just a block number. But I knew the rhythm of that clipped language. Diane. My mother. My hands shook then, but not with fear. With confirmation. They already knew I wasn't bluffing. And the tighter they clutched, the closer they were to losing everything. The proof came alive in a single line of text. Subject. Transfer confirmation. Internal use only. Date. February 14th, 11:02 p.m. Memo. Reallocated $187,500 from Trust B to joint account for Alina's property acquisition. I stared at the screen, the glow cutting shadows across my face. Grandma's trust gutted. My name erased. Alina's gain written in corporate black and white. When I slid the printout across Mara's desk the next morning, her mouth curved into something sharp. This is it, she said. No one survives a paper trail this clean. That night, I brought the folder to the house. The dining table was set, silver catching the chandelier's light. Dad at the head, Mom to his right, Alina scrolling on her phone like a queen in waiting. I laid the page between the wine glasses. Alina frowned. What's this? I didn't sit. Proof. Grandma's trust wasn't yours. You stole it. Dad's voice dropped low, controlled. Watch your words. I tapped the memo line with my finger. Reallocated to Alina's property acquisition. Do you want me to read the timestamp out loud? The silence cracked. Mom's spoon trembled against porcelain. Alina snatched the page, skimmed it, then hissed. You went through our files. No, I said evenly. I went through Grandma's. For the first time, their faces shifted. Not guilt. Not shame. Fear. You can't prove intent, Dad tried, but his voice had a hollow edge. I pulled the envelope from my bag and laid Grandma's handwritten note on top of the transfer sheet. If they try to erase you, don't let them. Her words in ink, now screaming across the linen. Alina's smirk faltered. Mom's hand curled tight around her glass. And I smiled cold calm, because in that moment the balance tipped. The fallout didn't wait. By noon the next day, Mara had filed the injunction. A single email arrived in my inbox at 12:41 p.m. Subject. Court order, estate funds frozen pending review. The words pulsed like neon. Frozen. Their playground shut down. That evening my phone lit up with calls I didn't answer. Then a knock rattled my apartment door. When I checked the peephole, Mom stood there in her gray cardigan, pearls at her throat, holding her purse like a lifeline. We don't have to do this, she started as soon as I opened the door a crack. Her voice trembled in that staged way she used at funerals. You're my daughter. This isn't you. We can talk. I didn't move. It's already filed. Her tone hardened. You'll destroy this family. No, I said, voice flat. I'm stopping you from destroying me. Behind her, Dad's silhouette lingered in the hallway. He muttered something about betrayal, about loyalty. But his eyes gave him away, darting, restless, calculating the numbers bleeding out of his control. Alina didn't come. Of course she didn't. Queens don't beg. 2 days later, the news rippled through the extended family. A cousin texted me a screenshot of the email chain Mom had blasted out, painting me as unhinged, vindictive, manipulated by lawyers. But attached beneath it, forwarded by someone braver than most, was Mara's filing. Case number, court stamp, freeze order. The facts were public now. And facts don't care about spin. The phone kept buzzing. Relatives demanding explanations. Friends caught in the crossfire. But I stayed silent. Because for the first time, silence was power on my side. I didn't shout. I didn't plead. I let the law speak for me. The house sold within 6 months. I didn't go to the auction, but I saw the listing, glossy photos of rooms where I'd once memorized the wallpaper patterns to avoid crying. The caption read, "Charming estate with historical value. History scrubbed clean." They moved into a smaller place across town. A beige rental with peeling paint. Word trickled back through cousins. No more catered dinners, no more donations with their names etched in plaques. Alina's new condo sat half-furnished. Mortgage payments stalled while the courts dug through every transfer line by line. And me? I didn't celebrate. I didn't pop champagne. I just exhaled. Life shifted in quieter ways. I opened my own accounts without hiding. Changed my number. Pulled my name from every family group chat. My mornings became simple. Coffee, a walk to the park, the kind of silence that didn't ache. Sometimes I caught myself remembering the smaller betrayals. The locket, the tuition, the endless applause for Alina while I swept up the crumbs. But the memories didn't sting as sharply anymore. They felt like proof of why I'd chosen this distance. One afternoon I found the envelope again. Grandma's note folded neatly, edges worn from my hands. If they try to erase you, don't let them. I trust you. Only you. I slipped it into a journal and wrote underneath in my own handwriting. I didn't let them. I trusted myself. We never reconciled. We probably never will. And that's fine. Because I've learned that family isn't ownership, legacy isn't manipulation, and silence isn't consent. I don't hate them. I don't wish them ruin. I just don't carry them anymore. Now in the evenings I sit by the window of my own apartment. No chandeliers, no polished oak, just me and the city lights flickering. I sip my coffee, turn a page, and let the quiet settle. Bittersweet. But mine.